If you hear yourself whinging about not having time,
Yep.
and you don't put aside time to think about these sorts of things or what you're good at, what you don't need to be doing,
Yep.
then you need to stop whinging, because if you do the same as what you've always done, you're never going to have the time. So you need to change what time you're putting way up.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Family and Business Podcast. I'm Mark Creedon, your host, and joining me, as always, is my life and business partner, Caroline. Hey, Caroline.
Hi, Mark.
You've had a really busy week.
It's been a big week. Actually, it's been big 2 weeks. We had Wealth Retreat the week before last.
Yeah,
And
5 days on the
then
Gold Coast.
We spent 2 days with our heads of department doing some business planning and getting some structures and things in play. And then I just spent a day and a half with the sales team.
So in today's episode, I want to talk about time, right? We talk about time management, but it's not really about time management. It's about understanding value of time and time zones and tapping into a bit of the wisdom from Dan Martell from Buy Back Your Time, talking about Dan Martell's time zones. And also I think he talks about 4 time zones, but I think there's a 5th one. But before we do that, tell me, because we've had such a big few weeks, what do you think would be your biggest takeaway? Wealth Retreat, the couple of days we spent in the Hunter Valley, apart from the wines there, the HOD, the Heads of Department Directors Retreat that we had. You've just spent 2 days training our wealth strategists in the Metropole Group. Mm-hmm. What's your biggest takeaway?
I think probably the biggest takeaway would be that we actually have some really great people that we're working with, some really clever, dedicated team.
Yeah.
That's probably my biggest takeaway.
It reminds me of the story of Alan Mulally, right, who took over as the Ford CEO, I think in 2006 or thereabouts. And at the time, Ford had a $3.5 billion with a B, $3.5 billion debt, and they were in the red. And when he went about changing, he turned that round in about 4 years, back to in excess of $1 billion profit. But what he did was he focused on culture. It's about growing the people. And he didn't focus on all those sorts of things you'd expect, like supply chains and cost reduction and improving, production lines.
Yeah.
I knew it'd come to me eventually. Improving those sorts of things. He just focused on culture of the senior people in his business, who then focused on the culture of the people as it went down. And focusing on that is what caused the turnaround. And I think that's really what you're saying, is that you focus on your people.
Yep. They did really well. They taught me a few things. So that was kind of really, really valuable, I think, looking at things through their eyes.
So let's just go off script for a minute and talk about that, because if you're listening to this and you've got your own business, obviously, you're a family business, and you think about the things that we talk about, growing culture, training your people, one of the great benefits of spending some time with your team and teaching them some things is that you can learn in the process, right? The fact that they taught you some stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And not just about the way they do things, but sometimes about some of the challenges they have, how they could do things better, making that contribution.
It was nice to see them, contributing. I really wanted to contribute, because the outcome is actually it is for the business, but it is actually for them to make their jobs a lot easier and, the client journey a lot easier and efficient.
And it's about having them being part of the solution. Do you know, not just not just part of the problem.
The outcome is we're going to save some of our clients, an hour, 2 hours of time filling in a whole heap of information that, they still have to fit. You still need information from your clients, but it's going to save a lot of time.
But it's going to save the time of the team too. And I think the thing about that is it gets the team focusing on the areas that are the highest and best use of their time.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Which is a nice segue to what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah,
so
this is a great session.
I want to talk about Dan Martell talks about 4 time zones. I teach from stage, I talk about 4 time zones. So I talk about the time zones as being your genius, your excellence, your competence, and your incompetence. But you've got a slightly different version of those titles.
Yeah. So I've got drudgery.
Yep. So
disinterest.
So can we go through them one at a time?
Yep.
So the drudgery zone is what I would call the incompetence zone. It's the stuff that you don't really like doing. Look, you're probably not that good at it. You're certainly not the best person around you to be doing it. There's people who are much better at it than you. And it's stuff that somebody else could really, really do.
Yeah, I mean, you love admin and data entry
I hate
and
that shit.
scheduling thing. You're great at it. You really love it.
I'm the world's worst person at calendar management and all that sort of shit. And so I don't do it, right? So for me, that's a drudgery.
Yes.
So it's a really good term. I like it. So it's certainly my incompetence zone, but it's a drudgery zone. So if you're sitting there listening to that now, I want you to be thinking, what's some of the stuff that I do that I just find an absolute drag? Like I just
Hate it.
wish I wasn't doing that stuff. That's the stuff that belongs
And
in
you
your drudgery
definitely
zone.
don't do that on a Monday morning
Well, you don't do it any day if
or
you're
a
smart.
Friday afternoon when you're exhausted.
After listening to this episode, you won't be doing it at all. All right. So drudgery zone. Yep. Number 2.
Disinterest zone, which is where you're capable of doing the work, but you don't really enjoy it.
So that's what I'd call the competence zone,
Yep.
right? I'm okay at this stuff. I can actually do this stuff, but I don't enjoy doing it. And really, yeah, I might be pretty good at it, but there are probably people who are just as good or pretty damn close to being just as good at me as me at it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, for me, it's probably email management. I'm pretty bad at that, but it's a little bit like my phone answering, which I'm pretty bad at as well. But
See, I think that's really unfair because I don't think you're that bad at email management. I mean, generally speaking, you reply to one of my emails within a week or two. So
that's not true.
and you would answer 10% of the phone calls I make to you. So I think you're probably been a bit rough on yourself.
Interesting. Nobody ever says that. Everybody else, I reply to everybody else's emails. Maybe it's just you.
No. Everybody else says it, just so you know. If they haven't told you, they're just being polite.
Okay. And the third one is distraction zone. So this is where the tasks that you really enjoy doing, but they don't require you. And often these are the ones where it's about, solving everybody's problems, because it's nice to solve everybody's problems, but you're often not always needed.
Yeah. See, I would call that the zone of excellence. And by that, I mean it's the stuff that you're actually really pretty goddamn good at, but it's the stuff you don't enjoy doing. You don't like doing it. So you're really good at it. And I also call that the danger zone. So what did you call it?
I called it the distraction zone.
The distraction zone, yeah. Because you know why? Because it's distracting you away from the stuff because you're good at it. And the reason I call it the danger zone is because you are good at it, people want to keep you there, right? So people want to keep you, but you should keep doing that. You're really, really good at it. You go, I might be good at it, but I hate it.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's good to call it the distraction zone, because it takes you away from the stuff that you really
think you have to
would
be there,
great at.
But you actually don't. It was interesting in
Like a commitment, like an obligation almost.
Yeah. In our training session that I did, one of the girls said, I'll send you this report. You'll love it. I do this for Brett every week, and I'll include you in that as well. And I'm just like, no, thank you. No. I get enough reports. Thank you. Just send it to Brett.
Yeah.
So, she's but I really like sending you reports.
I don't want another report.
Please don't send me another report.
Hey, Caroline, if you're listening to this now and you're going, okay, great. So what we want you to do with this information is, as you're listening to this, to start thinking about, crap, in the last week or 2 weeks or 30 days, what are the things that I've done that are falling into each of these categories? Because they're the things you actually need to get rid of. Yeah.
And it's one of the things, if you ever hear yourself whinging about not having time,
Yep.
and you don't put aside time to think about these sorts of things or what you're good at, what you don't need to be doing,
Yep.
then you need to stop whinging, because if you do the same as what you've always done, you're never going to have the time. So you need to change what time you're putting where.
The other thing that we hear people often saying is, I just wish I had more time. Right, I wish I had more time. Because one of the questions that we ask clients when they first join our mastermind program is, like, if you found a lamp and you rubbed the lamp and the genie popped out and said, I'll give you one wish for your business, what would it be? And often people go, I wish I had more time. But it's actually not about more time. It's about the value that you place on the time and therefore where you're spending it. And that's why we're breaking these up into these zones. And I guess the challenge that I'd put out right now would be, as you're listening to this, are you thinking to yourself, yeah, like, I am spending a lot of time in my drudgery zone or my disinterest zone. I'm actually, there's things I'm doing on a regular basis. Make a note of them. Grab your phone, talk into Letterly, whatever dictation program you've got, write it out, make a note, put a post-it note. That's the stuff you've got to work on getting rid of. The final zone number 4.
Yeah, sure. The impact zone is our fourth one.
Yep.
And that's where the highest and best use of your time.
Yep. So that's what I'd call the genius zone. That's the stuff that, the way that I would look at that, and you might have a different definition, but the way I would look at that would be, that's the stuff that brings the most return on my time. It creates the most value. But on top of that, it's the stuff I love doing.
Yeah.
Like I could do it all day and not get paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that it's interesting because there's lots of interesting things. Even though it's it's the highest and best use of your time, that doesn't mean that that's the best. If you were to calculate how much your value, your dollar value is that you're working on in your business, that's not always related or pertain to just what you're earning, because sometimes the highest and best use of your time is actually helping increase other people's productivity and working out ways and strategies for that to happen.
So it's a really good point you make. If I sit down with one of our team and I spend a couple of hours helping them, supporting them, training them, helping them to improve their performance to be their best. Or here's another thing, if someone's you did this the other day, right? Somebody in the office came in and said, in fact, Caroline walked into my office and said, I want a pay rise. I've just taken 2 people for coffee and there were tears and none of them were yours. But you spending time is probably a better example than one I was about to use, so just scratch that. You spending time having coffee with someone key in the office who's upset about something brings $0 into our business. So you wouldn't say that's the highest and best use of your time from a value perspective.
No.
In terms of dollar terms, a dollar value. But it's the highest and best use of your time in terms of true value because you just cemented an even stronger relationship with that team member.
Yeah.
They appreciated you more. They became their loyalty factor, if you like, if you wanted to measure it that way, increased. And you're a good human being.
Yes.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a good human. Plus, it was always
like,
a good deal to go for a coffee.
Well, that's right. But
coffee.
So I guess you think about when you're in, this is what I would call the genius zone. You're calling it the impact zone. But this is still around, how do your aim, if you're listening to this right now and you go, okay, great, I've got all these time zones, you can give them whatever name you want. Caroline, Mark, call it whatever you want to call it. But what do I do with that now? Well, what you do with it is you set yourself a target of spending as much time as you can in your impact or your genius zone. Now, Dan Martell in his book, and Gay Hendricks actually raised this initially in his book many years before Dan raised it, but in Dan Martell's book, he talks about you want to be spending 80, 90% of the time in your genius zone. I'll be honest, if you're achieving that, that's fantastic. Good luck to you. But I would like to think if you could get to the 60% mark, you're doing damn well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a damn fine job being able to spend 60 to 70% of your time in your impact zone doing the things that really matter. And so at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you can sort of walk away from your business and go, I've had a good week, right?
It was productive. It was good. Everybody's happy.
Yeah. Because if you're listening to this now, I want you to just stop for a second. I mean, if you're driving, don't stop. But if you're walking, don't stop either. But stop in your head and just ask yourself this question. Was there any time in the last 7 days when I walked away from my business and went, I don't know what the hell I did today? Even though you might have been there for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours, if at any stage in the last 7 days or 14 days you walked away and went, I have no idea what I got done today, I feel like I achieved
Nothing.
And
be kind to yourself. I think we all have days like that. We're not superheroes. We do have unproductive
I'm pretty damn
days,
good.
but sometimes they feel unproductive, but they're actually productive.
Well, but if you had spent the whole day going out for coffee with people and looking after them, that's a productive day.
That's a productive day.
But see what would have happened, and this is a good example of understanding dynamics in relationship, particularly in a family business. If you had come to me at the end of the day and said, I didn't get anything done today, and you went, all I did was take 10 of our team out for coffees and listen to them, I would have gone, what a cracking day that was, Caroline. Do you know? And so just sometimes you get that other perspective on it.
A really, really interesting thing when you do things like that, and it's taken up 2 hours of your day. 2 hours is a decent amount of time to lose when you're quite busy. But it was interesting because it made me hustle the next day because I had to catch up those times. And it wasn't that I just had to hustle, but I was very conscious to be able to delegate things. So I'm like, okay, I don't have time to this. I need to get it done. Let me delegate it. And it was great. I got it done.
Yep.
Took a bunch of pressure off. Whereas I would have just did that myself, a lot of the tasks myself.
So that's Parkinson's law in action right there. It's the same as why do you get more done just before you go on holidays? Like you get so much done.
You get so much done.
You get so much done. It's Parkinson's law. Parkinson's law says you'll take as much time to do something as the time allotted to it.
Yeah.
It's like gas in a balloon. The balloon will expand given the amount of gas in it. You know, your time expands given your tasks expand given the amount of time that you've got. But I think the thing here is to be able to go, you know, if you're listening to this and you've answered, yep, you know, there's a few days where I've just felt I've achieved nothing. It's to now go, well, how do I find a way to get more, spend more time in my genius zone or my impact zone? And even if you think you're spending 10% of your time, you know, in the next 7 days, spend 15%. And then 20%. And then over time, over the next 3 months, I should say, you'll end up, you know, turning around and going, well, actually, I'm now spending 50, 60, 70% of my time in the genius zone.
Yep.
Bit of a challenge to wrap this one up. Challenge is this, in the next 90 days, if you wanted to step away from your business or your role and had someone else run it for 90 days, starting tomorrow, what would you need from them today? In other words, even if it's not step away, but if it's I'm going to work almost full-time in my impact zone or my genius zone, what would I need from the people around me? And in lots of ways, Caroline, that's what would I need to get rid of?
Yeah.
And who could I bring on to help me to achieve that?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, quick recap. This is about understanding time zones. There's 4 time zones, right? I would call them the genius zone, which is where you want to be.
Yes.
You would call it the impact zone.
Yep.
Then there's the zone of excellence. You would call that the distraction zone. Yep. The zone of competence, which is the stuff that you're kind of good at, but, you know, it's the disinterest zone. And then the zone of incompetence, that's the shit you shouldn't be doing, by the way, and that's the drudgery zone. And, you know, can I steal that? Because I'm going to call it the drudgery zone for now because I really like it.
Yep.
Makes sense. No one wants to live their work days in drudgery.
No.
True?
True. I'm actually going to add another one on there.
Right.
The 5th zone, which is, I'm going to call it the freedom zone. And that's where the business can operate totally without you.
Yeah.
That's just like heaven. That's just an amazing place to be.
Yep. So here's what I think on that. If you can get to the point where you are spending 70% of your time in your impact or genius zone, you will then find that you've slipped through that doorway. It's like the Matrix. You've gone into another world and you've actually stepped into that freedom zone, which is in fact the 5th zone. And the freedom zone is this. It gives me the opportunity to work in any zone I want to. I'm in the drudgery zone because there's a couple of little things I want to do. I'm in the disinterest zone because there's a couple of little things I want to do, not because you've got to be there. And I think the freedom zone is the pinnacle and it's what we should be aiming for.
Yep. Boom.
Yeah, cool. These are the sort of things we teach all the time in our mastermind program. Hey, if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, please don't forget to like, subscribe. If you know somebody else in a family business that would benefit from the things Caroline and I talk about, please feel free to share them. If you're watching this on YouTube, again, like, subscribe, and set the alarm because you will then be notified. Set notifications. You'll be notified when the next episode drops. And then finally, don't forget, if there's something you'd like to hear us talk about, please pop a comment below and we'd love to address that for you. Until we chat in the next episode of the Family and Business Podcast, thank you very much, Caroline.
Awesome, Mark.
This is Mark Creedon. Please make sure you spend time with those who matter most.